Well, here we are in 3DSMax. This video is just going to show you the quick controls on how to move objects and how to move your camera. We'll get in depth in other videos. So the first thing you want to do is set up your units. Go to Customize, Unit Setup. Make sure you're set to Generic and International. Push OK. Now we're ready to go. So by default you have 4 viewports. You have the top, front, left, and perspective. Perspective is the viewport I normally use in my modeling. As you can see, the viewport's kind of small. We can quickly fix that by expanding it with the expand key at the bottom right hand corner. Here we have it expanded. We can do that with any viewport. Click the expand key to bring back the other viewports. Click the viewport you want to be in. So we have front selected. Can expand that. Let's expand the top and the left viewport. So let's go back to perspective, expand that. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the cameras. So in order to rotate the camera around the scene, we can just click the rotate tool at the bottom right hand corner. We can move the camera down, up, side to side any way we want. We can use the hand tool to drag the camera. And that's it for the camera tools. So here we got 3 more buttons at the top here. We have the arrow button here that actually moves around objects in your scene. Got the rotate button, and we've got the scale button. So I'm going to quickly make a box here. Just click and drag. Once I click that arrow button, it'll bring up 3 arrows. We can use that to move the box around the scene. We can use the rotate tool to rotate it any way we want. We can scale it any way we want. Big, small, medium. So I'll quickly go back to the cameras. We can look at the bottom, top, side to side. We can create more shapes than just the box. We have a sphere. We've got a plane. We've got a cylinder. Got a tube, got a teapot. Ooh. We got a bunch of different things we can use. So we can go ahead and delete all that. Now I'm just going to quickly show the material editor. Let's go into a box shape. So in order to texture this box, we have to bring up the material editor. So press M. And it brings up a material editor. Normally it would load up a standard setting, and that's not what we use to texture W3D objects. We want to change that. So click one of these spheres, click standard, and select W3D. Double click it and it'll bring up your settings. So at the top here we got standard _1. That's where you want to name your material. You want to name the material something unique and something short. So let's go box Mauler. Oh, the only settings we use are material surface type, material pass count, and pass. Material surface type sets the type of material it is. So in this case I want it to be a box of metal. So let's go light metal. The pass count normally stays at 1. If you use more than 1, it's normally used for alpha blending. We never want to go past 2, so we'll leave that at 1. The pass setting is where your texture will be set. Vertex material, we can use that as default. We don't have to change anything there. Shader, we don't have to touch anything there. For the texture, this is where we have to select our texture. So let's go to stage 0. We always want to have stage 0 texture as our main texture. So here we have none. Select none, and you want to navigate your way to your texture folder. Here I got some random textures. So I'm just going to quickly grab a texture here, and you can see that the sphere changed. That means that there's a texture there, but it's not textured onto our object yet. That's because we haven't applied it yet. So next thing we want to do is hit display, and then we have our box selected. Hit this button right here, and it applies the material. It looks rather good. No stretching. In order to change some of these settings, normally I would stay with that, but you can also change it if it does have like stretching, textures, or anything like that. You would go to modifiers, and you would use UVW map. So you can see now it's not displaying properly. You can see the orange line across. That means that it's displaying on the top and on the bottom properly, but the sides it's not. So to quickly change that, we can go to box, and it brings back the proper settings. Now you can change the size of the texture through these settings right here. You can change the length, the width, and the height. Just play around with it. You can get different looks and different things with different sizes. And now we got a box that looks a little different than normal. We can also use the arrow keys to bring it, stretch it out, stretch it in, or we can stretch out the top, or we can change the height. You see that yellow, or the orange box? That's the texture being stretched to different sizes. Now, the only other settings that I use for mapping most of the time is planar, cylindrical, and box. Every other one is depends on the type of object that you have, so it's kind of important to play around with it. So now that I have my box textured, we can export this to a W3D. We'll name it box. Remember that your W3D has to be unique as well, and it has to be shorter than 16 characters. And also anything that's inside Max also has to be less than 16 characters as well. So keep the name short. So click W3D, and I've got other W3D files here. So box, save, and here we got the export options. We have 6 different types of export options. This varies on what kind of model you're exporting. Hierarchy and hierarchy animated. Normally you don't export through those. Pure animation. I've never actually used that, so you don't have to either. Skeleton. I've never used it, so you don't have to use that either. Terrain. That's for exporting a map type thing, so we want to select terrain, and you can push OK, and it's exported. So I'm going to quickly go to my desktop, and here it is on my desktop. So double click that, let it load. Here we go in W3D. So in order to see your model, you have to click hierarchy, double click it, and click your box. Here's the box. You can look at it, and it's just the box. So that's pretty much it for that. Like I said, these tutorials will get more in depth as I create them, so keep posted on them. Thanks very much, guys.